Welcome back to another episode of the Investors Corner podcast. It is now 2025, another year out of the way. Mike, how's
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. All good?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. We got through the year. That's all that matters.
Unscathed.
Yeah.
I was going to say with slightly less hair, but you're still doing all right.
Yeah, fairness. Still got it going, still growing. In this episode, what we're going to sort of have a review of our previous podcast that we did last year, pick out our favourites, what our takeaways were from it, and talk about some stats. I know you're a stats guy.
Yeah.
So we'll go over stats about the property market and the Investors Corner podcast stats as well. So, Mike, kicking it off, number one of your favourite podcast last year.
Thought the most relevant one for the landlords listening was Stuart Bock. He's obviously one of the Avocado partners, but he's also a landlord of 2 or 3 properties on the side as his side hustle, his investment, his pension. And I just thought it was good to hear his honest thoughts about what you should do as a landlord rather than listening to me or you banging on about it over and over again, rather than it becomes a little bit dull when we say the same things. When someone independent comes in as a landlord, it's a client of ours in the letting side rather than a working agent in rentals, and say, look, this is my experience over 10 or 15 years, and I think this is how landlords should do it, and this is why was really relevant.
Yeah, I think the point that I take away from Stuart's one was about the insurance side of things.
Yeah, because attitudes changed, innit?
Attitudes changed. The clients that he deals with, he tells them to take the insurance out. He now takes the insurance out, and this is rent guarantee insurance.
Yeah.
He takes the insurance out now on all of his properties.
Because he's looking down 2025 and thinking, well, I'm high taxed anyway, so I might as well put this cost in to protect myself and protect my asset.
Yeah, exactly.
He's also going to get more tough as a landlord.
Yeah, he's also talking about the Maidenhead area and what that looks like for investment. There's some good things in the Maidenhead area where your investments could work out there. So definitely check that out as an area if you're looking for a property investment. For me, number one on the list that I've got was the one where me, you and Mike were talking about, we got 50k. How are we going to invest that 50k? For me, when we were talking about that, we all sort of had the same things going on. Your corporate tech stocks, your cryptocurrency, investing in businesses and all of that sort of stuff. So for me, that highlighted the most important areas for me to look at as an individual on my investment journey and what I want to get from it. I was having a look at the crypto. I
was going to say you've done all right.
I was having a look at the crypto. I've done all right. Could always do better, but I've done all right. Looking at when we did that episode, and which highlights me, right, I just need to sort of just do and don't think about it and just go for it. Bitcoin's up by 18% since we've done that episode. XRP is up by 135%. And
don't know what it is, but I'll trust you.
Yeah, I mean it's good.
Say that
up by 135%, and it's going to continue to go up. So that's a little nugget for the listeners there. And then Stacks, which runs off Bitcoin as well, is up 16% since we last done that episode. Now the thing with cryptocurrency is what I'm seeing at the moment is that there has been a massive increase in it since Donald Trump got elected. Yeah. Probably in January, it's going to go even further. There's various court cases that have now been dropped against these altcoins and different cryptocurrencies as well. These people that were doing the court cases, that were running them, have suddenly resigned. Whether that's got something to do with Donald Trump coming in, don't know. But now that's pushed everything over because those court cases have been dropped. It's just going crazy. So more than likely the first 6 months of next year, you'll continue to see massive increases in crypto, but it is volatile. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
You've got to have the spare cash to do it. If you haven't and you're looking for a quick buck, probably not for you. But yeah, that was my biggest takeaway, is in actually, right, I've just talked about it. We've all just talked about it. I obviously want to do it. Just get it done and go for it and see what happens. It seems to have paid off. So yeah, for me, that was a good one.
My next one, estate planning with Claire from Soteria Planning. It was particularly relevant because it came straight after the budget, where IHT has been just turned on its head. So it's now stupidly important, and I've been going through this process with my own mum and a financial advisor over the last couple of weeks, where they've just torn up their advice to her and said, we now need to destroy everything that you've put together in order to bring you within inheritance tax, because of the value of property and the value of pensions now, means that in our case, if my mum died post 75, the effective tax rate on my mum's pension would be 86%.
That's crazy, isn't it?
So having saved for a pension all their lives, my mum and dad, my mum's now a widow, the financial advisor is encouraging her to just destroy that pension, Frank. And I get it. And it's like, it's why Claire was obviously talking about inheritance tax on property and how that works within families and trusts. And it becomes part of something where you need to now plan it before you buy to put it in the right kind of wrapper. But that doesn't mean in 20 years' time that it's not wrong, which is the frustrating bit, because you can plan all your life and then the rug gets pulled. Yeah. Which is where a lot of sort of middle class southeast pensioners will be, the Conservative with a small c, who live in a frankly mediocre house in the southeast, or coming in towards the M25 with a pension, are going to be so far over that inheritance tax threshold of £1 million it's untrue. So that was really relevant on my second.
I think that just shows the importance of seeking that advice, doesn't it? And speaking to someone.
You'll pay money for advice, but the level of is like you're in for hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of tax, which is just phone numbers, isn't it?
It's a small cost to pay, isn't it, to get that advice and get everything set up, considering the money that you're going to save further on down the line. Number 2 for me was the Dubai one, where we had our guest Joshua Holt on there. We was comparing UK markets to Dubai markets, what's happening out in Dubai, what returns can you get, and it just shows what Dubai is. I mean, there's so many investments opportunities. When he was talking about buying a property off plan, and then as soon as it's built, the return already on that before it's even gone anywhere, was just incredible to see. And you can just see the incredible difference between Dubai and the UK property market, and how Dubai is still up and coming. Some people say that it's been and gone. To me, that's not the case whatsoever. Right. There's still a lot going on there.
Well, it's just been fired up by the UK government, essentially, isn't it? It's just encouraged a load of people to look at that as an option, whether it was already popular enough. So they're projecting population of 4 million shortly, which when 2008, when the property market crashed and Dubai crashed hard, I think Dubai's population is about 1.8, and now they're looking at 4 million. That's a different kettle of fish as an economy. And I've been listening to the Taking Care of Business podcast, which is an estate agency podcast in Dubai, because I kind of know the people on it. And apparently there's an off-plan launch every 18 hours on average in Dubai.
That's just crazy, isn't it? That's mad. That is mad.
Yeah.
But it just shows you the power of Dubai, doesn't it? And, with more people going over there, more people wanting to experience that side of life, there's always going to be an opportunity to invest in Dubai, whether it be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it doesn't really matter. And like you said, I think, the way that the Dubai market is, with people with cash and the people that want to invest, they're going to look into those areas rather than the UK. It's a bit of a no-brainer for me. If you can do it,
you need the cash.
You need the cash. Cash is king.
100%. Yeah.
Number 3 for you?
Autumn budget.
Oh,
just sling it in.
Do you know what? Autumn budget was our most listened to episode.
Yeah. unsurprising, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably more important than the election, wasn't it? Because the election was a open and shut case, whatever the phrase is. Can't get it out. But the autumn budget, everybody needed to know what was going on immediately. So we've come out of that almost surprisingly in a very healthy place, and the economic predictions for 2025 are very rosy, whilst the undercurrent of the UK is fucked is still there. Because the production level of individuals is horrendous. The 2025 outlook and the outlook all the way through to sort of 2028, 2030 is incredibly good. And the economic outlook that I went to see an economist in London last week, and he reckons there's going to be a record number of insolvencies in 2025, and that is a good thing for the economy because it will release labour, it will release materials to those who can do it properly, which I think from the uneducated view, seeing companies go bankrupt means that the country's suffering, but it actually means it allows those who are doing things well to have more opportunity to do it better.
Yeah.
So the agile, the up and coming, the quality businesses can get a lot bigger faster as a result of more businesses going under. So a little bit turbulent, a little bit choppy, but the outlook is very, very positive.
Yeah, had its negatives, had its positive. I think everyone thought it was a bit negative as first when it came out. But actually,
I mean, the budget was a shot.
Yeah.
The outlook from it is surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sugarcoat the budget. They can all do one still.
Number 3 for me was when we had our guest Paul Hutchinson. Now, I mean, this was a long podcast episode we did.
I was dizzy. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
The room was spinning.
We had to split it into 2. Each episode was about 40 minutes long. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. My brain was hurting at the end of it, but it just highlighted to me about the importance of trusts for passing on your wealth for future generations in your family, getting it all set up now. He proved that trusts and all of this other stuff isn't just for the super wealthy. Yeah, it's for individuals of any kind, and it's just.
I mean, getting back now after that budget, and he'll double down on that for sure.
Yeah, we'll get him back on because I mean, that, like I said, there was so much stuff talked about, and there was some golden nuggets in there where you listen to it, and you wouldn't have even thought it.
No,
it never crossed your mind, but actually, when he said about it. It's like, that makes complete sense. I need to go and look into that as you know, with someone that, if I'm someone with lots of cash, medium amounts of cash, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that he was saying, it could be relatable to all individuals, really. So, yeah, that was a big one for me. Although I still don't understand 75% of what he was saying, I knew it was good.
Listen to it 3 times over. That's the key. And then write down your questions before having a chat with someone like that, because the level of knowledge is unreal.
Yeah,
and the value that they can give you, like you said, for the cost on a piece of paper for setting those things up, you might think, wow, that's a lot of money, but it's the result that it gives you over lifetime that it's just multiples. In doing that kind of financial planning. So totally agree with you on that. It was pretty extraordinary, like the level that he could go to in detail. But yeah, I need to listen to that on sort of 75% speed with a notebook, which is not my normal style. Normally I go 1.5 speed and let people fly because they bore me a bit.
Should we get on to stats?
Pod stats.
Let's have a look at the pod stats. So look, the reason why we do this podcast is to give you, the listeners, sort of, advice on how to invest your money, what areas to invest in. You know, it's not certain go ahead with what we say. We're just here giving our opinion on investments that you should look at for your property journey, your investment journey, or protecting your investments as well. But the Investors Corner, let's roll through some stats. So 2% more followers this year. So that just highlights, the stuff that we're saying people wanna know about.
So if you're not following us, click the follow button.
Make sure you follow. 103% more listeners as well. So more people noticing the podcast, liking what we're saying, and listening to the episodes as well for near enough the full episode, not just switching off after 10 seconds. These are proper listeners of the podcast as well. So we've had a massive jump in that. Top episode, the autumn budget, sort of already highlighted that. If you haven't already listened to it, have a listen to it, because we talk about outlooks, talk about stuff in 2025. So it's definitely worth listening into that. 21 countries now.
We're taking over the world. Stephen Bartlett, we're coming for you. We won't be talking about mushed up food either.
No, we don't need to.
We'll
talk about the proper stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, 21 countries, UK and USA, top 2. No surprise there. But it shows that we're sort of reaching to people in other countries and helping them make their investment decisions as well. 53 new episodes released. Top 10 for 256 followers. Top 5 for 106 followers. Number 1 for 36 followers. So we're there in most people's, listen.
Thanks to those 36.
Yeah, thanks to the 36
the most
who were
important
number 1
podcast in their life.
Yeah.
If you're one of those 36 who saw it on your Spotify Wrapped, drop us a message. We'll send you some key rings.
Yeah, let's do it. But yeah, that again, that's good to see that people actually want to listen to this stuff. We're not doing it for no reason. We're not just sitting here to do content for
sitting in a room and no one's listening.
Yeah.
We had two middle-aged men moaning about the world.
Exactly. Yeah. One listener. They'll probably cut it off if we only have one listener. But look, it just shows that you want our advice. We want to give that advice to you. We want to help you. So yeah, thank you to everyone that has listened to us and made this sort of journey last year incredible for us, the traction that we're getting on everything. So yeah, big thank you to all of you.
Speaking of middle-aged, the majority of our listeners, 32%, are 35 to 44.
There you go. That's
so
still young people.
To my receded hairline brothers and sisters. Thank you. 30 to 34 is 22%. 55 plus is 10%, but it's grown by 50% this year. So we're drawing them in. If you're 18 to 24, 3%.
Yeah,
young investors out there as well.
I think the thing with the youngsters is that
the youngsters.
I'm still young. Don't worry.
Not anymore. Not now you said that.
The younger people. I think the thing with the younger people is that I think they're put off by making potential investments, whether they've been left money for potential inheritance or parents have given them a bit of money to go and do the things that they want with it. And I think the last thing that they think of is about investing that money. We've seen a massive traction in younger people going down the crypto route. Whether I agree with that, I probably don't, because I think that they're doing it because of a community of meme coins that are out there, and thinking that that's a great way to make quick money. And in the end, it doesn't prove to be that. But there's a lot of things on social media at the moment about crypto, and they get drawn in by that.
Always.
I don't think younger people invest in property as much now. So yeah, that doesn't
it's a bigger barrier to entry. So
yeah,
surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me.
A bigger barrier to entry, and people see it as a thing for the older people to do. But I think there's a new generation coming in of those 30 to 34, 35-year-olds who are now pushing it. And I think next year there'll be with that, financial advisors turning their backs on pensions, because financial advisors for years have just encouraged you to invest in pensions because they just make money off it.
Yeah.
But I think now even them are like, right, you need to diversify your assets here and change how this is, because a pension is no longer the super tax efficient thing that it was. Yeah, it's tax efficient to put it in, but it's not great anymore.
No.
It's not the golden goose anymore. So there will be some money going into that 30 to 40 year old category from parents just gifting.
Yeah.
So I think there'll be more property investment, even if it's in their own homes rather than buy-to-lets.
Yeah.
The big stat, over 40,000 plays.
Oh,
Read it and weep.
That's good,
isn't it? 40,000. That's Villa Park.
No one listener, one play here.
Maybe we should go to Villa Park and just play it, and we double our numbers.
Should do.
40-odd thousand. The rest of them are all, blah blah blah. But 40,000. Our podcast has been played 40,000 times. So if you're listening, you're amongst friends, and thanks for continuing to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Should we get on property stats then?
Yeah.
Let's end on property stats. What's going on? There's been a lot of negative news. Negativity about what the housing market's doing, whether it's going to, crash next year or whatever. And we've got some stats here that show one of the businesses that we look at, and it sort of puts that in the water. Really, is that it's pretty dead. What you're hearing out there, and these are true stats as well. We've got the data that we can see. So these aren't made up, but we've got
access to the entire UK. Property listings, sold and exchange data, but we also run a mid-size estate agency which is going to sell in the region of £300 million worth of property this year. So it's quite a good read of where the market is. And the first stat that we've been so delightfully given by Ian, who's not here today, we're just going to nick his material shamelessly. Avocado property has registered 37% more people looking to buy a property in 2024 compared to 2023. Almost 18,000 buyers have been registered.
That's madness, isn't it?
37% up.
That's crazy. And that just shows those headlines of the property market not doing anything or people not wanting to buy and stuff like that.
And that's not slowed down since the budget.
Rubbish.
That's not like it was all first half of the year. It's not slowed down. So that's a big one. I've already wasted the second stat by saying we're a company that sells £300 million worth of real estate a year. Because that was the second stat. But I'll throw it in again.
Yeah. Looking at lettings side of things, so tenant registrations up nearly by 30% in 2024. Spoke to a total of 2,200 tenants, so it still shows that there is a big demand there for rental property, and that will probably go into this year and probably next year as well. So if you do have an investment property that you are renting out, all looks pretty okay from a demand point of view. Over £60 million properties under our property management service for landlords. I mean, that's incredible for the size of the business that we have. And it just shows that more and more landlords are coming to us because the advice that we give, like doing this Investors Corner podcast, they know what we're talking about. They respect our advice. So we like helping people on that journey with them. Yeah.
And if you rent your property through us, you get Andy direct on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So, probably. That's, you can't ask for anything more than that from an advice point of view, because you got to know him through the podcast, and it's not like you're going to get a load of 19-year-olds. You will have Andy direct in your WhatsApp group to have a conversation with. I was going to say day or night, but keep it to daytime.
Keep it to the
day. From the point of view of how we perform as an estate agency, it's really interesting because we're outperforming estate agents at Avocado by 21% because we find a buyer for 85% of our listings, and that's going through as well. Did you know the UK average is only 64%?
That's mad, isn't it? That is pretty low.
Even less exchange, by the way. Yeah, that's just finding a buyer. So, yeah.
That's mad. I mean, it just shows that
just over somewhere 50 to 55%.
Some agents out there aren't they're just not doing their
listing machine
job properly.
But good year all round. If you can sell 85% of your listings, you know that the market's in a healthy place. All jokes and self-promotion aside.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the rental side of things, looking at Avocado lettings, 21% above the average of finding tenants. It's just, and that's probably to do with the way that you qualify tenants, not wasting time, getting things done properly, following a process to make sure that everything's done in a timely manner. So it just shows, again, pay a bit of attention to it, have the right processes, have the right dedication to getting deals done, and you'll smash it finding tenants.
The last statistic about the sales market is often around reductions. Price reductions being a big thing through December. Now we're into January. It's new instructions, new listings. But if you're on the lookout for a bargain, we've said it a few times before, but get the Google Chrome plugin on your Rightmove, because you'll be able to see the original price when it dropped, when it was first listed, all those sorts of inside stats. For avocado, we reduced less than half of the properties we had for sale compared to other estate agents. So pricing being on point means that you sell more houses.
Yeah.
The facts tell the facts. We're outselling because we're pricing better. And it means that house sales go through quicker as well, rather than having reduction after reduction or a fall through because another house on the street's come on at the right price where yours was the wrong price, and so forth and so forth. But yeah, as looking at it from a buyer or a seller's point of view, make sure you've got that plugin on your Google Chrome when you start your search. If you don't know what I'm talking about, send us a message. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, absolutely. Those plugins are absolute gold, just to see what other houses, have gone for what price in the area, what the average rentals are, HMOs, data points, all of that sort of stuff. And you should really have that. I mean, if you're looking at buying another property or even sell your property, because then if you get an agent round, you sort of have an indication of whether they're telling you a load of lies or they've got it spot on. Looking at the rentals, 12% of our properties that we had to price reduce, 2/3 better than the UK average. So it's
up or down on the year, do you reckon? Putting you on the spot. Do you think 12%'s more than 2023?
No.
Or do you reckon it's par for the course?
I think we're sort of level. I don't know. I'll get that stat though. I'll see if I can dig it out. But the reason why we're sort of going over these stats is to show you that, again, all the negative stuff in what you hear in the press and media and all of that sort of stuff, if you've got the right agent behind you and you've got the right people supporting you, it just shows that it's good. It's it's good for sales, it's good for rentals. There's no issues at all within the property market. Unfortunately, I just think that there's some people out there that unfortunately say the property's worth X amount and it's not. It doesn't shift. You've signed into a 16-week contract with them and you can't do anything about it. And and unfortunately you do get those sites. But
the stats show 2024 was an incredibly positive year, and going into 2025 as we are now, we don't expect massive interest rate reductions.
No.
Hopefully a bit of a price war in January. That's quite traditional between the lenders. So we'll hopefully see some sub 4% stuff as we kind of lost those towards the end of 2024. But sub 4% makes the market work for buyers, for sellers, for landlords, for everyone, because it's a reasonable borrowing rate at the right deposit level. And it looks as if supply to the market will be pretty healthy as well. Repossessions are at an all-time low. We expect repossessions to stay low. It's quite hard to get repossessed these days. They've got to go through quite a few hoops, which is a good thing. It doesn't take people out of their homes. But it's all because the borrowing of money isn't too expensive. The job market's pretty good. The supply of money is very good. And wage inflation is outstripping real inflation, according to the stats anyway. Not according to my Tesco bill. But that's another story. Welcome to 2025. We expect it to be a good year for the property market overall. We'll see. I'm still sat on the fence. We'll see if the Renters Reform Bill, that's what it's called now, isn't it? Renters' Rights Bill comes in, or if it doesn't. I think it's going to be choppy waters trying to get it through the House of Lords, and it might get watered down quite significantly. So we will see. For landlords, I'll leave it at we will see, rather than whether it'll be a good year or a bad year. But even in that, I don't think it's as bad as all the headlines say. And as and when we do, we'll persuade Liam Connolly back out of his office,
get him out
with his laptop of facts, having read every single word of the documents, translate it for us laymen. to give us the real truth behind what we've got to say.
Yeah. So look, thank you to everyone that listened to us in 2024. We'll bring you loads of new stuff in 2025. Hope you had a good Christmas. Hope you had a good New Year. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll be back next week.